And Venezuela is going to the polls this Sunday in a mega election to choose governors and members of parliament. To keep analyzing today's key elections for Venezuelans, let's go to our studios in Caracas, Venezuela, with our colleague Ana Marrero, who is joined by a very special guest, politician Arnold August. Hi, Ana.
Hello, Alejandra, and hello, the audience. From analyst, and well, welcome to teleSUR English, and welcome from the South.
It's a pleasure. As a collaborator of teleSUR, it's always a pleasure to collaborate, whether it's here in Caracas or Havana or by writing articles for teleSUR.
Oh, that's so good, and it's really nice to having you here. Well, Wakalite News, what do you think about the 32nd elections being held in Venezuela during the 26 years?
Well, you mentioned 32 elections. Actually, there's more. For example, today, it counts as one election, but in reality, there are two. One is for the National Assembly deputies, and the other is for governors and the legislative consulta and the level of the state. So it's really much more than 32. I think without any doubt, Venezuela is the champion of elections and democracy. But nevertheless, the United States and their allies always try to demonize Venezuela, saying that it's not democratic. It's pretty ironic when you have so many elections.
Yeah. And also, how do you describe the democracy that Venezuelans are demonstrating that exists in the country through the vote? Because as you said, the right wing tries to demonize the government of Venezuela, saying that here is no democracy, but the people voting are showing that there is. What do you think about it?
Well, actually, of course, I'm attending today. I went to the voting centers and saw how they voted. I did that previously for the presidential elections in July of last year.
In July 28th.
In July 28th of last year for the presidential. I saw the voting procedure there, and I saw it again today. So once again, anyone who is any way objective, they have to say, in my view, it's a fraud-free electoral system. It's not possible to carry out any fraud. Now, for me, it's not just the elections. Like yesterday, with the help of some friends, I visited two barrios, two neighborhoods. One is in Petare, which is the biggest neighborhood, the biggest barrio in Latin America in terms of population. It was very, very inspiring. I went there, I spoke to the people, and it's very clear from the point of view of the people that this is their revolution. You know, the Venezuela, I mentioned this a long time during my first visit in Venezuela and teleSUR with Ray Gomez. I think it was 2015, a long time ago. He asked me.
A long time ago.
Yeah, he asked me, what do you think? You were in Barrio 23 de Enero. What is your opinion? I said the main thing then, and I say it now, what distinguishes the Venezuelan democracy from any other democracy around the world is this protagonist. That is, people see themselves as the author of their own revolution. And it's the same thing today. When I was there yesterday in that barrio, everyone I spoke to, irrespective of how they're going to vote, they say they want to vote in peace. And the United States cannot give lessons to anyone about a democracy and to carry out elections. The same thing, I went to the Barrio 23 de Enero, and of course there it's very militant, and they said the same thing. People want to vote in peace. People have confidence in the electoral system in Venezuela. They see it as part of an overall process that began in 1998 when Hugo Chavez was first elected, and went through all of the major transformations, social, economic, health, etc. And so they're part of this whole dynamic. And, you know, for example, the way they participate in the comunas, they're the ones who decide what are the projects which they're proposing, and once it's accepted by vote, then they get the funds from the central government to carry out these programs. So, you know, it may be strange for someone coming from the United States or Canada who has very preconceived notions against Venezuela, but Venezuelans see this as this is their revolution, and it's up to them to do it, carry out the way they think is best.
Yeah, and also there are not only elections of governors here in Caracas or in the Miranda State or in Táchira, but also is being held elections of governor, the first time in the Guayana Esequiba.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about it being the first time Venezuela is electing a governor there?
Yeah, well, as far as the governor is concerned, of course, this is a very important test case. Let us hope that the Chavista governor wins there. It will be a ratification of the decision taken by the Venezuelan people in a sovereign way with regarding that area that will be incorporated into the territory of Venezuela. I have a good feeling, even though I didn't visit it, I have a good feeling that this is how people vote for a governor that will follow in the footsteps of the referendum that took place to include that area into Venezuela. And of course, there's also Miranda's also important. There's a Chavista governor now. Hopefully, the Chavista governor would be elected there. When I was there yesterday, it was very interesting. It's a very controversial neighborhood. It's very Chavista. At the same time, as you recall, during the elections, right after the elections on July 27th, the night of July 28th, there was disturbances, riots that took place, organized by the United States and their allies. And some of these disturbances took place from that area in Petare. So hopefully the Chavista trend will triumph over those who want to make trouble with regards to the results of the elections that are taking place today.
Yeah, and also the lessons of these elections for not only Venezuelans or the extreme right, for the world and the Latin America and the Caribbean, the lessons that Venezuela can give during this democratic process that's being held today.
Okay, let me just say one point. United States, or where I come from, Canada, their governments, they have no lessons, no moral authority to lecture Venezuela about elections and democracy. Like today, even before the election results are in, for example, I verified with the New York Times about 2 hours ago, they're already saying that the elections are fraud. And what do they give they say, according to recognized international observers, they give the example, it's hidden in the article. You have to open it up to see. It's from the Carter Center. The Carter Center previously, when Jimmy Carter was there, it did play a progressive role, a good role. They were objective, and he wrote, when the New York Times quotes reliable sources, why don't they say that previously the Carter Center said, and that's written, that the most transparent, well-organized elections take place in Venezuela. Of course, a change took place, and someone who had very close ties with the CIA and USA has taken over the Carter Center. So they really don't have any moral authority to lecture Venezuela with regards to elections and the democratic process.
But the government and the people are demonstrating and giving lessons to the world.
Exactly. I think so. I mean, I'm prejudiced, but I think that Venezuela has lessons to give to all over the world with regards to elections and democracy.
Well, thank you very much for being here with us today and teaching us more about this elections process and to analyze it to the perspective of these elections and a Western perspective too. Well, thank you very much. And,
thank you very much for having me.
I thank you for being here. Well, like this, we're back to Alejandra in Havana, Cuba, to more information from the South.